Hey, this is Ben with Life Judo. Got a quick clip of me replacing a master cylinder. This is not meant to be a step-by-step instruction, like this is how you do it, but to give you an overview of what's involved. So if you're thinking about it and you aren't sure whether you're up to it or not, you can take a look at the video and see whether it's something you could do. It is not a particularly difficult job as far as, well, it can be. It depends upon the master cylinder and how the hoses and stuff hook into it. But as a general rule, it's not so much a hard job as it is a critical job. Talk about the master cylinder in your car. Master cylinder is the cylinder that creates the pressure that squeezes your brakes. If you screw this up, you could lose your brakes. That's not just a problem with your car. That could lead to somebody who's just walking along the road or driving their car dying. So make sure that if you do this, that you know what you're doing, you follow the service manual, and you do it right. And with that, check out the video. This is the brake reservoir, and right down below it, that's the master cylinder. You can see a line coming out there, and a line right there. Should be pretty straightforward. Looks like a nut there, a nut there. And yeah, those two lines. So, piece of cake. I have taken the strut tower brace off to give me better access to here. That is called a flare nut, because on the other side of that tube it flares out, and it's captured on that line, so you need to be really careful about how you treat that nut. And there is a tool for this called a flare nut wrench. You see how it's real thick so that the sides don't bend out, and then it actually grabs on to 5 of the 6 corners, and this makes a big difference. Get the right tool for the job. So this is Snap-on, and it's terrific, and it's really expensive. For years I was using Proto. Proto's now part of Cooper Tools. I don't think they were at the time when I got this, but they also make good stuff. You can see how it also is thick. It doesn't grab on the 5 of the 6 sides. It just grabs on 4 of them. But it's still a good tool. And I mean, don't mess with an open-end wrench for these things. You're grabbing on 2 sides, and these ends will tend to flex out. It just doesn't work. So go buy the right tool for the job. If you have to go to Harbor Freight or Napa and buy some Chinese something or other, you're going to be better off if the nut is tight than using an open-end wrench. Buy the best tools you can afford. Don't buy tools that you don't need, but when you need the tool, buy it. Think about it. You're doing your own work, and the money you would be spending on labor, you should be spending on tools. And it just makes your life easier. It makes the job go better. Don't screw around with it. So, with that, I'm going to set the camera down and get to work. Okay, so here I am. I've got the wrench on the flare nut. And people's tendency is to just sort of gradually apply pressure. In this case, it worked. But what you really want to do is give it a good whack. You don't want to be stupid about it, but a nice sharp whack, and that helps break it free. You'll be much less likely, if you use this judiciously, you'll be much less likely to round over fasteners and break bolts. It just works a lot better. Impact is your friend. Don't be stupid about it. Get a feel for it, but impact is your friend. So here's the master cylinder. There it is right there. That's the, these are the holes that those flare nuts were screwed into. This is the flange that bolts up to the brake booster. Here's the piston that ultimately connects to your brake pedal and creates the pressure. You can see here, there's the flare that I was telling you about. See how it flares out? And that gets pinched and creates a seal when this guy gets screwed down onto it. As you can also see, it is captive. You round this off, you are essentially screwed. So get a flare nut wrench to break them free. You don't have to use them all the way off. Once it's turning freely, anything that'll spin it will do it, provided it's not wearing this down. Like, stay away from pliers. Pliers are stupid for, removing nuts. But get on there with an open end. If your fingers will work, sometimes jiggling this around while you're twisting it will help this come off. But anyways, take good care of that. That is the flare nut. A word about brake fluid. As you can see, this has all been painted. As you can see, this paint has come away. As far as I'm concerned, this isn't too big a deal for me. I mean, in this specific spot, it'll tend to rust more, but the big deal with that is not this paint, but this paint. Brake fluid will etch away, will eat away, dissolve finishes. It doesn't do it real evenly or consistently, but it will damage the finish. So keep brake fluid off of any surface that you care about how it looks. And if brake fluid does get on there, immediately flush the area with lots of water. Don't rub it off, wash it off, and then just kind of let it be. Try not to touch it. Here is a new master cylinder, made in Japan. I am generally an advocate of keeping original equipment with, oh, that is good to know, with the being made in the same country as the car manufacturer. And this looks like a really good, original equipment replacement part. Let's compare. So here is the old master cylinder. Take the new one out of the bag. And here's the new one. Spitting image of each other. Something to notice is, you see that black seal right there? Do you see how it's missing here? Ah, what does that mean? It means it's still in there. Right there. There it is. So I'll probably have to get a pick and pull that sucker out. But if I hadn't if I hadn't removed this, then it would have tried to hold this whole thing out. It wouldn't have fit right. It probably would have damaged this. So always pay attention. Compare the two parts. It looks, when it comes out, like that guy is an integral part of the brake booster, but it's not. So pay attention, and you'll save yourself a lot of headaches. There's the new guy. Is not installed all the way. First, I put it in so that it kind of went over the, so that it was over there. As you can see, it's still loose. And the reason that you don't want this down tight yet is because you need to get these in first. And you want to start, you see how this one is the easiest to get to? That's the one you put in last. The first one you do is always the hardest one. So while this was still loose and stuff, that lets it change its angle more easily to accommodate whatever angle this bolt or nut is actually going in at. And so then I got that so that it had started and threaded in there. But I left it loose so that this can continue to wiggle around. Then I got this guy started right here. And I left that one loose so it can still wiggle around, because we want these to be in just the right spot once we've got this guy bolted down. Okay, once we install it, obviously we're going to have to bleed the brakes. And everybody has their own way of doing it. And what I mean by that is, every manufacturer has their own thing. Sometimes some manufacturers copy each other, but I never count on it. So I like to check and see what do they want to do. So in this one, they want me to do that one, then that one, then that one, then that one. Some people say start here, then go here, here, here. Some people say start at the farthest point, and go around. Some people say just work in a clockwise or counterclockwise direction, so always check with the manufacturer. Sometimes you have to remove unrelated things in order to gain access. In this case, I removed the strut tower brace, and I removed this bracket here, which supports the throttle cable. And this gave me, it was in like that, and this gave me more room to get my hand down there to get to that difficult to reach bleeder screw, flare nut. So pay attention. Don't take apart more than you have to, but don't be afraid of removing bits that you need to get to parts, provided you know how to put them back together, or like, hoses. If you had AC and you crack an AC hose, you better have AC equipment to put it back together. And plan ahead, think ahead. So that's it for this video. I didn't show the process of bleeding the brakes because the video was already too long. I will make a video in the future, though, showing you how you go about bleeding the brakes. Thank you very much for watching, and as Heinlein says, specialization is for insects.